Welcome to Lost on Ice, the show about the show 20 years later. Today, we're talking about Season 3, Episodes 13 and 14. I'm Will. Also here is Ben, and you can watch full video episodes of the podcast on YouTube. Ben and I also release a bonus hangout show every week that can be found at patreon.com/drskeleton. Lost is back, Ben. I enjoyed both of these episodes very much.
Oh, nice. I thought they were kind of middle of the road, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, not in a bad way. I enjoyed them, but I'm surprised that you're saying that because I don't feel very much about them.
Well, that's interesting because one of the two episodes that we watched today, I thought was the show's best, like the series best that we've seen. And I looked up in the research for the podcast today. One of the episodes was indeed considered by some to be one of the series best, and it didn't say like this is like the best one, but it was the other one. Like it was the other one that I thought. I thought Expose was like, this is the best that Lost can get. This is number one, the Nikki and Paolo show. Let's go.
Yeah.
And apparently people that kind of didn't like that at the time. It's kind of gotten critically more reevaluated more positively. Yeah. But apparently The Man from Tallahassee, the first one that we're going to talk about today, is Season 3, Episode 13, is considered to be one of the best Lost episodes.
Interesting. Yeah. People like Locke. People like him.
Dude, I like him.
Do you think that John Locke is bigger than... Lost John Locke is bigger than real life old dude dead guy John Locke?
Do more people know about Terry O'Quinn's John Locke?
Yeah, maybe. What if you went back in time and you met a guy named Kobe Bryant? You'd probably be like, I don't know. I guess that doesn't make any sense. But you'd be like, that's crazy. There's a guy in the future.
Don't get in that helicopter, bro.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of somebody who's named after an old dude. But yeah, John Locke. People like him. That episode was kind of middle of the road. Not in a bad way, just I'm used to this caliber of episode in my mind.
Interesting. This episode was the one we talked a little bit about Emmys last week, but this is the episode that Terry O'Quinn submitted for consideration for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series for the 59th Primetime Emmy Awards, but he actually won this time. He was up against Michael Emerson, and he was the only other cast member of Lost to be an official Emmy nominee that year. But he was also up against Michael Imperioli for The Sopranos, T.R. Knight for Grey's Anatomy, Masi Oka for Heroes, and William Shatner for Boston Legal. Terry O'Quinn took home the gold.
Interesting. Did Michael submit the same exact episode? That'd be a good little move.
I don't know which one that he submitted.
Which one of it? Who do you think did better in this episode?
I mean, I think Terry O'Quinn. Although they both did great. They both did great.
That's my Michael Emerson talking to whoever does the Emmys impression. But okay, cool. Yeah, it does have one of my favorite kind of like tiny little moments throughout Lost, which we can talk about when we get to.
Well, let's get to it then. Let's talk about the flashbacks that we see at the beginning. They are indeed about John Locke. John is suffering from depression and becomes a recluse. He goes to a government building and finds out he needs to give unwanted information from him, or needs to give unwanted information from him in order to keep getting paid his disability insurance. And it makes you think about how much like healthcare in this country is a nightmare, and you kind of wish somebody would do something about it.
Yeah. Fortunately, it's all changed since 20 years ago.
Later on, In his apartment, he is visited by a young man named Peter Talbot. Peter reveals Locke's father, conman Anthony Cooper, is trying under the false name Adam Seward, or apparently so, to marry Peter's mother.
If I was picking a fake name, I would not pick a last name that sounds like sewage.
Yeah.
Gotta
His
say.
name is Seward.
My name is Ben Goldman.
It's literally the Robin Hood Men in Tights joke, though. Like, you named yourself Latrine? Used to be Shithouse. That's a good change. It's a good change. Locke later goes to a florist shop where his father goes with Peter's mother. Knowing that Cooper only wants to marry the woman to take her money, Locke confronts him, warns Cooper to call off the wedding and end it, or he will tell the woman the truth. Cooper reluctantly agrees, or at least seems to get him out of his hair. Later, Locke is approached by two detectives who tell him Peter is dead. Assuming Peter's death was staged by Cooper, caused by Cooper, I would say. Wikipedia man, I disagree. Locke goes to Cooper's condo and confronts him, but Cooper denies any involvement. He says Peter's mother was devastated and called off the wedding herself, and assures Locke that he can call Peter's mother himself if he wants proof. Locke picks up the phone to call her, when Cooper suddenly charges him and shoves him through the window.
Which is one of the best moments. We've arrived at it. One of the best moments in Lost history. Moments in Lost history. Absolutely. I just love how it looks and how it feels in the moment too. You really don't expect it. You know, if you're watching Jason Bourne movie or something like that, it's only like a 90% surprise if at just any random moment in a movie somebody shoves Jason Bourne out of a window or something like that. But you gotta say, in Lost, really 100% surprise.
100% surprise. We just talked about Crank, this happening to Jason Statham. But yeah, Locke plummets 8 stories to the ground and survives.
Somebody was counting, because I don't think, do they say that? Does somebody say? Does the
yeah. I think like
say it later on.
The physical therapist is like, hey man, you fill out 8 stories but survive.
Interesting. A number.
Another detail that happens in the flashback is that like Cooper, Locke's dad, like pours himself a glass of like, the expensive whiskey. Now that's a recurring character. It's just like expensive booze that we see every once in a while.
I realized what that McCutcheon reminds me of. And no offense, there's no shade at what I'm about to say, because I like buying from here as well. But it's like McCutcheon is like Costco brand in this universe. Like it looks like our universe's version of the Costco brand version of Macallan whiskey, which is our real world's.
Except it's not, whiskey. Though. It is the
not to them, but I'm just saying that the McCutcheon logo, like it reminds me of Costco. It looks like if I go to Costco tomorrow, that would be the Kirkland brand. Which again, no shade. It would be a much more reasonable price. I'm sure it would be like $20 or something like that, you know, versus whatever they're paying in this universe and talking trash to one another about. But it reminds me something about the logo. It's like a little too shiny or something, a little too red. Something about it. It's got that Costco, that Kirkland je ne sais quoi.
I like it though that there's this in-universe like signal to know the guy's rich. And it's this, like we know the brand of whiskey that's going on.
Why would you push someone out of a window though? Because like there's not much of an out to that, I guess. Especially, I guess there is an out, which is if the guy dies and you say that he fell or whatever. But like, even in that case, you're out of a big ass window in your nice ass apartment, you know?
Well, we find out that that he has fled to Mexico and has now disappeared. So he wasn't going to stick around anyway.
I mean, that's why I don't push
Locke,
people out of windows, because I would not have thought of that as an option. I'd just be like, damn,
So you
now
just
I'm stuck until the police show up.
Start like sweeping up the glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
As Locke lies in a hospital bed, two detectives tell him that, your father has fled to Mexico and has now disappeared. They leave as a physiotherapist lifts Locke out of bed and places him in his wheelchair for the first time. Locke breaks into tears at not being able to move his legs.
Interesting. I would not have Wikipedia'd that as physiotherapist. Like, my mom's a physical therapist, so gotta say, that seems like a more normal term. I don't really know what the difference is, if there is one.
I don't know what a physiotherapist is.
Wikipedia man caught it. Physical therapist, helping people, do therapy, do physical therapy.
Physiotherapy focuses more on manual, hands-on therapy such as soft tissue and facial releases, stretches, massages, etc. Physical therapy, on the other hand, takes a more exercise-based approach. The professionals educate patients about exercises for muscle strength, coordination, balance, and others.
No idea how that person pegged that, but super Lost fans. Mm-hmm. Glad you're there. Glad they're there to let us know.
On the island, this is what's going on. Outside the others' compound, Locke, Saeed, Kate, and Danielle are shocked to see Jack interacting familiarly with the others. And Kate insists that the others have done something to him. So this is another part of why I liked this so much. Is this tension of like, they got Jack, or like, they've turned him into an other, and they're trying to resolve that. As Rousseau slips away, they sneak into the compound. Kate enters Jack's house, and despite her insistence that she will not leave without him, he refuses to go. He's tickling the ivories.
Yeah, I didn't have the place or presence of mind, which now I can't think of I really can't remember in my regular life now. I can't remember what the right phrase is.
Presence of mind. There's also peace of mind, which is I think why you get to place.
I didn't have the presence of mind to catch it. But did you catch what he was playing?
No. Did you look it up?
No, I didn't. That just seems like something the Lost fans would have figured out. If it was me, I'd probably be playing, maybe the song from Cantina Band, or the Cantina Band in Star Wars to myself.
He's just doing heart and soul, but only the part where you can do without the melody. Yeah. Damn, so meaningful. I'm not seeing in the Wikipedia article a reference to which songs appear in the episode. I can't remember if I did say who directed and wrote this, right? Yeah, whatever. There's also an interesting tidbit that I'll get to later. But the door bursts open and two armed others apprehend Kramer's there, bringing alongside a struggling Saeed. Meanwhile, Locke enters the house of Ben Linus. Locke wakes Ben and threatens him, demanding he reveal the location of the submarine. They are interrupted, first by Ben's teenage daughter, Alex, whom Locke grabs and hides with in the closet, then by Tom, and an unseen Richard Alpert, our boy Nestor, who tells Ben that they captured Kate and Saeed trying to rescue Jack. Ben tells Tom to separate the two and interrogate them, and instructs Richard to bring him, quote, the man from Tallahassee, the titular man from Tallahassee. After the two leave, Locke asks Alex to get Saeed's pack, and Ben concludes that he is doing so to destroy the other's submarine. Jack visits the imprisoned Kate to tell her that he made a deal with the others to let him go home. While there's some reason mentioning it, but like we're seeing that there's like cameras in corners, like that Jack is being monitored, and so we can't be like perfectly candid with Kate, like in his quarters, but he does eventually explain to her that he made a deal with the others to let him go home. Alex gets Saeed's pack from him, and as she leads Locke into the submarine, not knowing that her mother is watching her from the bushes, Alex tells Locke that Ben is manipulating him because he manipulates everyone. And this whole time, Locke he's in man on a mission mode. And so like he's impervious to mind games and such.
But Ben,
it appears to be,
doesn't put up a good fight. I feel like if you're a dude with a submarine on an island, that's not something people are expecting, right? And so you've got like this, kind of, I don't know if you call Locke relative, like an antagonist relative to Ben Linus, but whatever, you get the idea. You got some like antagonist who shows up and is like, don't tell me about the submarine. You can't just be like, what are you talking about? That sounds crazy. It's like, you got to game recognize game at that point and be like, so you found out about the submarine. I'm not going to tell you, but you found out about the submarine. But Ben Linus kind of plays dumb at first, which I found annoying. If I was Locke, I'd be annoyed.
I think he is. I think he is kind of annoyed with him, and
but in a different way. Like
okay.
Just a game recognized game is the best way for me to put it. Trickster to trickster in that situation.
Well, we know. Okay, so Locke is never really too much of a trickster himself. He is just kind of has the like.
He's tricked.
I have the power of God. He always thinks that he's on a righteous mission, really, and then he has full confidence in that what he's doing is right here. And we find out later that Ben is. This is actually perfect for Ben. This is kind of exactly what he needed. And so he's only going to be protesting so much, because he for some reason, we don't know yet why, but it kind of resolves his, like, he doesn't want anyone to leave the island ever now at this point. And he doesn't want to appear weak by letting Jack and Juliet leave. And Locke swoops in to solve his problems by blowing up the submarine.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jack visits Ben, asking that his friends be released after he leaves the island. Ben agrees to let them go after Jack and Juliet have left, but knowing that Locke is going to blow up the submarine. Jack and Juliet are escorted to the dock. They run into Locke as he is walking back. Jack asks what he's doing there. Locke simply replies, "I'm sorry," as the submarine explodes behind him.
It's pretty, like, okay, don't know that much about submarines. Maybe this was one of those PlayStation controller style submarines that's relatively small. But, like, when I think of a submarine, I think of the Hunt for Red October style nuclear submarine. Pretty small explosion. I understand they're on a budget. It's probably it. But, like, I feel like it should have been a bigger explosion, don't you?
I actually kind of thought the opposite, that we only saw that he had that one, like, pack of C4 sort of thing. And I guess I have no idea what that is
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Not really like Mr. Explosive expert over here, but I kind of would sort of expect, like, it's mostly happening underwater and it would just kind of like blow a hole in the side and sink it.
I guess that's
rather
true.
Than just like a big old mushroom cloud in the middle of a lake or something.
I guess once again, why I'm not a good criminal, because I'd just be like, damn, I can't blow up a submarine.
Worthless. I can't even blow up a submarine.
C4 to put on every single, visible spot of the submarine. I'm looking for a mushroom cloud. Yeah, and that's a good point. You just got to blow a hole in a submarine, don't you?
Yeah. You just got to compromise the hole.
Yeah. Wow.
I feel like you're taking this to be a much more profound.
I guess it is
realization.
it's a more profound episode than I was originally giving it credit.
Later, Locke is locked in a room. Nominative determinative much?
Every time Locke is locked in a room, there's probably someone out there who's thinking that exact thought. What does it mean?
He's locked in a room in the Dharma barracks. Ben and Richard open the door, and Locke reveals that he knows Ben wanted him to blow up the sub. Ben reveals that he wanted to find a way to keep Jack from leaving the island, but did not know how. And Locke has solved this problem for him. Ben and Richard lead Locke down a hallway, and Ben tells him that for whatever reason, Locke is in communion with the island, and that makes him very, very important. Michael Emerson really giving him the eyes in these scenes. Just really turning it on.
Yeah.
Ben takes Locke to a room where Cooper is being held captive. Presumably, that's the man from Tallahassee.
Okay.
To me, that's me saying that. Yeah, I really like this episode. It maybe kind of speaks to my stinker tendencies, but John was definitely being a stinker, running around, kind of ruining things. But him being dead set on stuff, I don't know, it was really working for me. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. It gets like a 3 from me.
A couple of stray observations that happen in this episode. Ben has masks on his wall, or a mask on his wall. Because isn't Linus like the god of theater or something? I don't know. He's always telling tricks and being schemy anyway.
Interesting. Did you pull that on your own? You knew the god of theater?
No, we talked about that.
The god of theater?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sharp.
Right? Yeah, whoever. Yeah, people remember we talked about that. I can't figure it out off the top of my head. The other thing that happened was apparently in the flashback in Locke's apartment, he is watching Expose, the TV show that we learn about in the following episode.
Okay.
Yeah. So this episode is brought to you by Ben and I. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, and heading on over to patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Thanks for listening. Let's talk about Season 3, Episode 14. The aforementioned Expose. That's what it's called, Expose. This aired March 28th, 2007. It was directed by Stephen Williams, and it was written by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz.
This episode scared me because it scared me in a podcast meta way, or in a meta way that's related to the podcast, because it made me start to realize, like last week I was complaining that I'm starting to reach the point where I don't remember exactly what's going to happen next. And then I saw this episode, I saw like the first 5 seconds of this episode and then remembered it from when I saw it the first time. And then also remembered that I made a joke about something almost exactly like this episode happening a few episodes of our podcast back. Yes, this was also a somewhat profound episode for me in that way, because it reminded me that I need to be a little bit more vigilant about
tighten up.
What are my own thoughts versus me possibly revealing things about the future of the series.
I think that you've cultivated just enough of an unreliable narrator presence generally in your life that I will never take anything. I will never be able to quite discern if you're kidding or not.
Sure.
Any of this. So I think you're doing just fine. Okay, so the structure of this episode, it's like I'm gonna go through these flashbacks, but it's gonna just kind of tell the whole story. So I want to like emphasize to the listener that this episode is itself a little bit of like a detective story. Or I mean, it's definitely just like detective story.
If for some reason,
of many twists and turns.
Yeah. If for some reason you haven't been watching Lost and you're just listening to us, which I guess you could do as a cost-saving mechanism. I think Netflix costs maybe like $15 a month, so you could just listen to the podcast.
Some guy read the Wikipedia summary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I was hooting and hollering the whole time with which each little twist and turn.
Yep.
It all kind of unfolds in a very fun way. Most of my notes for this episode are just like writing down like each revelation that's happening. So it's like not even a useful series of notes. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. But this is I think this is also a very meta episode as well. But we'll get into all of this. All right. We begin with a flashback with Nikki Fernandez acting in a popular Charlie's Angels-like TV show expose filmed in Sydney, which she's a guest star.
Technically, we start off with her being a stripper. And you're like,
yes, it's not.
That's when you're writing down
it's a reveal.
Notes, Nikki,
yeah,
a stripper.
Well, my first note is I think I like flashbacks, actually. Yeah, we don't know that like this. We get a flashback about Nikki, and we're like, oh, okay, we're gonna find out that she was a stripper in her past life. But then that there's a reveal. Like, I mean, over the course of the scene, it becomes obvious that like, all right,
she's acting.
She's acting in this. But then you hear like the cut, and then blah blah blah. This is happening, and then Billy D. Williams is there too. He's like the boss or whatever, like main guy. So he's got to be the most famous cameo at this point.
Maybe we'll have to go back. I can't remember who else we've had so far. Who we said was who was the last?
I think for
most
you,
famous?
Bill Duke was the most, but Cheech Marin. Billy D. Williams is Lando Calrissian, dude. He's got to be.
That's true, but
the most famous.
Cheech Marin. Everybody knows Cheech and Chong.
More people know Lando Calrissian, dude.
Okay, maybe.
I think. I mean, he's also in Batman. Okay. He's in some weird movies.
You sound like you're about to take it back, but yes, he is. Okay, he's there. Nikki's actress. She's got something going on with the director.
Yes, sorry. She's having an affair with the septuagenarian executive producer Howard L. Zuckerman, who's very wealthy. So there's this whole thing about like they kill her off in the show, within the show.
Yep.
And like, you know, the show creator is like, oh, can we talk about bringing you back? And she's like, check it out. I got like filled with bullet holes. And she's like, I was a guest star anyway. I think that there's some, I don't know. It sounds like Nikki and Paolo were not popular with the audience at the time. I've kind of been enjoying having them around. You're not a big fan of them, but I think that this is probably a little bit of metatextual interaction going on.
Sure.
Where, I don't know, they were probably guest stars themselves on Lost, and then they're being killed off. Da, da, da. So, Paolo works as Howard L. Zuckerman's chef, and he kills him by poisoning his food, and the couple steals his diamonds, which are worth $8 million. The couple plans on returning to the United States in Oceanic Flight 815. Oh, yeah. So they're filming in the episode opens like filming. I guess they were filming in Australia, and you can tell that they were filming in Australia because they just walk in front of the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. About
no other way to really to an international audience, to an American audience. How else are you going to tell that they're
you're just going to get like literally like a kangaroo like jumps through, or like someone says like,
somebody walks
"Good
by
day,
and said,
we're local, mate," or something.
Yeah.
They encounter Boone Carlyle and Shannon Rutherford at the airport, having a bit of a couple's spat, or I guess a brother and sister spat. But they look at each other and like, "Promise me, we'll never turn into that." Upon surviving the plane crash, Nikki and Paolo realize they have lost the bag with the diamonds. We start seeing. This was so cool to me. I don't know, but we start seeing a lot of the events over the course of the show, but from Nikki and Paolo's perspective. They're kind of Forrest Gumping their way through all of the main key events of stuff going on, except like they just have their whole parallel story going the entire time.
Yes. And you can kind of tell, well, if you can't remember, you can tell which shots are what do you call them? Archival shots? Is that the right word for it? Because season 1 of Lost was broadcast in like 480p or something like that. Season 3, we're already up to 1080p. So you can tell which ones are, I don't know, did you notice this? You can tell which ones are archival or new ones, because sometimes the kind of the resolution.
So I'm watching a
changes.
Blu-ray version that may have undergone some restoration. Where my season 1 looked amazing because it was and so all of these clips looked, they were well integrated with each other, but it does seem like they did do some pickups.
It was subtle.
Yeah.
It was subtle, but I could tell that and I mean, obviously it helps that like I recognize the old stuff, like some of the I think original shots, the archival shots. And then I could start to pick up on like when it switches between the archival ones and the new ones. You see a little bit of a difference.
The pilot was shot in a very distinctive way, where it's like super handheld on the beach, like very shaky cam, right? And so they also try to emulate that when they're doing the pickups to try to integrate that. But we see the shot again where the guy gets sucked into the plane engine and dies. And I don't remember if I said this last week when we were talking about the ARG, but apparently that guy who got sucked into the plane engine is Gary Troop, the author of Bad Twin, the novel or the mystery that Sawyer was reading on the beach that one time, and that was going to expose the Hanzo Foundation. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it would have been convenient to have had Gary Troop around a little longer on the island, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Nikki consults Dr. Leslie Arst, who tells her of a spider with the ability to paralyze people. He also gives her a trajectory map which leads them to the Pearl and the Nigerian plain. They explore neither. When Kate mentions that she found luggage from the plane in a lake, Paolo finds the diamonds, but does not tell Nikki. Instead, he hides them in the toilet at the Pearl and overhears a conversation between Juliet and Ben. So one of my jokes actually kind of came true, where we see a flashback that does kind of explain Paolo's IBS.
Yep.
Or he's hitting up the bathroom. Looks kind of cool. The two accidentally leave behind a walkie-talkie that Paolo takes. Later, when Saeed, John, Desmond, Nikki, and Paolo visit the Pearl, Paolo retrieves the diamonds by pretending to use the bathroom. Nikki figures out that Paolo has found the diamonds without telling her by finding his nicotine gum and decides to lure him into a trap. When he denies that he has the diamonds, she unleashes one of the paralyzing spiders on him. She finds the diamonds and Paolo apologizes, claiming that he did so that she would not end their relationship. Nikki hears the monster's chittering sounds, which distract her long enough for the pheromones of the female spider to attract a group of the male spiders of the same species, and she is bitten on her leg. I missed that part, the monster was around. Whatever. She buries the diamonds and sprints to the beach. And this is where it kind of picks up, like now this is present day. Nikki runs onto the beach before collapsing, where Hurley and Sawyer are playing ping pong. As Hurley and Sawyer rush to her, she says something barely audible. She is soon pronounced dead because she collapses and she's totally paralyzed. But they're like, "Yep, she's dead." They try to recount what she said before she died and come to the conclusion that she said Paolo lies, although she actually said paralyzed. And I feel like they did indeed just got two takes of it where she says Paolo lies.
Paolo lies.
Paolo
lies.
So we, the audience, also hear that. And then later on we get the take where she says paralyzed.
Yeah, that's true. It's like a Dario Argento movie type trope, I feel like.
Sawyer and Hurley begin an investigation and find Paolo lying lifeless in the jungle. Sawyer finds a walkie-talkie in Nikki and Paolo's tent and concludes that they were working with the others due to the similarity of the walkie. And I guess we later figure out, they weren't. Paolo just had picked up the walkie-talkie. But this is another one of those like, oh my gosh, wow. Hurley does not think the others are near their camp, but Sun reminds them that she was abducted, unaware that it was Charlie who actually grabbed her. Sawyer tries to calm them down and says he will do a perimeter sweep, and then pulls out a gun. They're like, dang, he's got a gun. And then we're all thinking like, damn, what the heck? He's trying to cover up that he was part of the Sun thing, and like, does he have something to do with the death of Nikki and Paolo? Meanwhile, Charlie, who feels guilty, confesses to Sun that it was he who attempted to kidnap her. She says nothing and walks away. Sawyer returns, having found the diamonds, and the other survivors accuse him of being the killer because Desmond saw him arguing with Nikki just that morning. He gives the diamonds to Sun, which is a major come-up for her, but she later confronts him about kidnapping her and returns the diamonds because they're worthless here. Fair point? The survivors then hold a funeral for Nikki and Paolo, where Sawyer pours the pouch of diamonds into the grave. Nikki's islands open just as Hurley and Sawyer are filling the grave, burying her and Paolo alive. What an incredible ending.
Yeah. Tight.
Hurley gives the little speech at the grave. It appears you killed each other for diamonds. They just like kind of don't know. This just happens. They're fumbling their way through it.
Yeah.
At some point, Sawyer says Jaboni instead of Jabroni, which I think it's Jabroni, right?
I think it's Jabroni. Maybe it was trademarked or something back then.
Maybe it is.
Whatever.
Charlie
Creative Commons Jabroni is Jaboni.
Got a sound alike here. Charlie notices that Nikki's fingernails are full of gunk because he is the gunky fingernail guy himself.
Yeah.
From the digging. And Paolo swims in his jeans as well. Those are some other things that we see here.
They do some nice little editing around. Like Paolo sticks the diamonds down his pants, down like into his crotch, and they do some nice daytime television cutting around that when Nikki oddly pulls down his pants to, take the diamonds out.
Yeah. I mean, we see him lifeless on the forest floor with his the front of his pants unzipped and belt open, and we're kind of left like, what sort of demise befell him when he had his hog out, huh? What's going on with that?
Yeah. Fortunately, it wasn't out, which is
they're
again,
just like,
for the
I don't know
daytime
how
TV.
we film around this. We just I know it's network TV, but we just need to have his hog out. Ethan Rom shows up
wearing a Wisconsin
yep
sweatshirt.
So is he canonically a Badger, you think?
I guess so. Big Ten.
He's got mm-hmm. And when Paolo's trying to bury the diamonds in the beach for the first time before he decides to just keep it in the front of his pants, John Locke swings by with his random aphorism at the height of his mystic powers and gives him advice about whatever you bury won't stay hidden here on this island. I'm like, all right, man, what's going on? I'm gonna give this episode a 5. This was a hell of a ride. Them just burying them alive at the end. Like, we're definitely thinking that they're gonna wake up and be explained, but no, the good guys just killed them by suffocating them with sand. Kind of a crazy episode. Yeah, I'm giving it a 5. I loved it.
It's a 4 from me, but I like it. It just wasn't blown away.
Sure. At some point we hear a song in the flashback, I think during the expose episode, and there's a sax sample from Jay-Z's Show Me What You Got. Is where I recognize it from. But it is in a different song. So it must be some sort of common sample.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that. Not sure when that happened.
So that's going to be it for the show today. If you like the show and want to hear more from Ben and I, consider joining our Patreon. Patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Every week, Ben and I release a bonus hangout show where we get into the stuff that's just too hot for the main feed, right into the show, drskeletinsartschool@gmail.com, or comment below on YouTube and Spotify, reach out to us. Next week, we are watching Season 3 episodes 15 and 16. What are the names of those episodes? Left Behind and One of Us. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening.